Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not the Mouse, the podcast all about animated features not made by Disney. I'm your host, Dr. Random Macias, and this is more of a short episode. It's not going to be anything specifically on a movie. I'm just really doing this just to, deliver something to you guys. Realistically, I do have a big episode coming up. It's just, I wanted to do something in between. That way I can work on that. I still give you guys something because I don't want to do another week break, so soon. So, what I wanted to talk about was IP and projects. If you don't know what that is, Space Jam, especially Space Jam 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. We've had a lot of movies, that focus in on, let's show off what this company owns. It's become so consistent that people have started complaining about it. They're like, the Lego movie did something bad by, doing this. The Avengers did something bad by doing this. It's the kind of thing where it's like, look at all the different things we own. And I just want to point out that, I don't know, as for me, I don't mind it so much. I don't mind it so much because most of the time when they do it, it's like, okay, well, that makes sense why they're doing that. I mean, I get why it's annoying. It's because, now we're stopping the story to show off, look at what Warner Bros. Owns, look at what Disney owns. But generally speaking, I feel like most movies that do it don't do it as bad as some people say they do. Like with Space Jam 2, even though it's not a great movie, it's fine. I think it's okay. A lot of people acted like, there's, big segments of the movie where it's just them showing off what's on HBO Max, and I'm like, not really. I mean, okay, yeah, they are showing off a bunch of characters, but they're just making up the audience and the background, and it's just like, well, look, they're inside the Warner Bros., universe or whatever, so it makes sense. And look, the Looney Tunes, selling out, showing a bunch of stuff that Warner Bros. Has feels pretty par for the course. Not even just in Space Jam, just a thing in general. So I don't see why people were mad about that. Ralph Breaks the Internet, it was in the Disney section. And that one was actually a little worse just because while there is stuff that is in the story that factors into it, for the most part, it just felt like, okay, yeah, we're just showing off what we have. But still, it's just a small section of the movie that I'm just like, I don't care. I don't know. It's not that I'm trying to be like, capitalism rules or, be a consumer or whatever people want to, say about this stuff. It's like, I don't care in this stuff largely because I just feel like there's no real point, in getting up in arms about it because it's like, studio makes a project that is just, there to make money for them. I mean, nothing new. And look, sometimes it's fine. Like I said, I was fine with Space Jam. Ralph Breaks the Internet had its issues, but I do think it had a good message at its core, and the heart was there, even though the story wasn't really there. I don't know. Generally speaking, movies having IP all over the place doesn't bother me too much. I do get where it could be a problem, especially because we do get a lot of movies where it's like, now we gotta add this thing in or that thing in, and it's just forced. Ready Player One. At some point you see the Iron Giant, which I thought was pretty cool because I'm like, look, I love the Iron Giant, and realistically, if you give me the option to wear the Iron Giant as a skin in a video game, I probably will, just because I love the Iron Giant. Guys, it's fiction, who cares? Where my problem lied was once it became over the top with referencing stuff at some point, when the giant sacrifices itself in that movie, it starts doing the whole Terminator 2 thumbs up thing, and I was like, fuck you. That kind of stuff does get me bothered when it's literally just stopping to make references for reference sake. But when it's stuff like, this is a world where it's supposed to be a video game, like a Fortnite kind of thing or whatever, where it has IP from other things, I'm like, that's fine. I mean, I get where it can be annoying, especially if it's just the company just showing off their own stuff instead of trying to be honest, with Roger Rabbit, where it's like, look, it's not just Disney who made cartoons, it's other people. I get why that would be annoying, but at the same time, it's like, look, I get that money is a finite resource, so to speak. And at a certain point, yes, it does make sense that it just would not be wise to show a bunch of stuff from other things just because you'd be wasting more money just to get them in. You'd have to rely on making deals with those companies. So I get that. I do I do think that more movies should consider that, hey, if we're going to be representing something that has a lot of, corporate IP, maybe we should be more honest about it and showcase that it's not just coming from one source, it's different things. Like Fortnite doesn't just have Disney or Warner Bros., it has from like all stuff. I mean, they even have El Chapulín Colorado of all characters as a costume, so it just feels like, maybe try to reach out more. But if you can't, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see much reason to get mad about it, just because I'm like, if the movie sucks, if the show sucks, or whatever it is that is featuring all this corporate IP, like if it sucks, it's less likely going to be because of the fact that they had a bunch of this IP stuff, and mostly because it just wasn't a well-told story. I mean, again, we've had a lot of stuff that has all this stuff. Like Toy Story has a bunch of, actual toys. Wreck-It Ralph, even the original, had like a bunch of video games. Proof and Roger Rabbit. I mean, of course, the difference is come down to, when it's stuff that the company doesn't own and they're showing off just to be accurate, or if it's just them showing off their own things. But regardless if it's one way or the other, I generally don't mind. Like, going back to Space Jam, which is the one that people often use as like the prime example of like a really bad offender. And this is like, I mean, the story sets it up that they're supposed to be inside Warner Bros. And they're kind of mocking some of the stuff that Warner Bros. Does. I think they could have gone more brutal. Like, I feel like that movie should have been a metaphor for like, 2D versus 3D in a way, because when the toons become 3D characters, they are kind of like disturbed at the idea of being 3D instead of 2D, and there's a whole segment where Bugs has to find the characters in other worlds, and that kind of feels like it's them kind of poking fun at the fact that for a while Warner Bros. Was trying to do a bunch of spin-off projects with the characters. They never really did happen. Like, apparently there was supposed to be like a Marvin the Martian Christmas movie. There was supposed to be a Speedy Gonzalez movie. But it's like, yeah, this feels like it's kind of lampooning that, but it doesn't do it enough where it becomes noticeable. So in that regard, I give the movie mostly a pass. I mean, it's not great, but then again, it's like, the movie is fine for what it is. It's, you get your Looney Tune gags. It has a pretty decent father and son story, especially for, a non-white father. I mean, I remember seeing some posts saying like, hey, look, it's one of the few times you get a black father in media, that is actually shown, like, like their struggles with being a parent that, feels natural, which I'm like, wow, if that's true, that's kind of sad in how, this medium is representing its, people of the real world. But then again, it's not too surprising. So, I don't know. From that, I'm just like, I don't mind if you put in a bunch of IP and your stuff, just make it a good story or make it a decent story. Honestly, people get way too up in arms about a lot of these things, and it's like, I don't even need it to be the best thing in the world. I just need it to be fine, and I'll be fine with that. So, yeah, I just wanted to do some small stuff. I am going to be doing a bigger project next week. I'm going to be talking about the Pokemon movie, one of the Pokemon movies. I'll get to you on which one it is, and that should be a much bigger one. Like I said, I just didn't want to do another week where I didn't do anything, so I wanted to give at least a little small thing, and I feel like maybe just give a little, my little opinion on IP on stuff, and, again, put in Fred Flintstones going up against, Bugs Bunny in a basketball game. I don't care. I really don't. So, thanks for listening. See you next time. Thank you for coming on and listening to me today. If you enjoyed it, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow my podcast. It's on Podbean, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And if you want to support me even more, there's always the option of Patreon. Patreon is a great way to support artists. And with that, you can always put in $1 or even more. It's all up to you, all just to help produce the show and other things I may do. Thank you again, and I hope to see you in the coming future.